occurs to me now, I don't really know where to start. Well, 27 years old. I'm from a town of less than 1,400 people in southern Indiana. I've never left the country before. I grew up in an old decommissioned farm. It's an old farmhouse. We had a potbelly stove for heat, no air conditioning. We had running water, but it was well water. We moved a little, more like diagonally across the road, I suppose, out of the trees and onto a street to a slightly more modern house, which was even then built in the 70s. When I was about 4. When I was about 6 or 7, parents divorced, and we moved around a little bit after that, but we never really moved too far away out of the area. I lived in Indiana my whole life. We weren't the poorest family I knew, but we never really had a whole lot growing up. We were just on the edge of comfortable, doing only slightly better than paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes a lot worse than that. But one thing I thought I would never get around to was traveling overseas. Most of the people in my family have never done it, so I never thought I'd get the opportunity. It's strange to think about. Flight leaves in just a few days and it doesn't feel real yet. Equally terrified and eager to have all my perceptions and all my cultural norms flipped upside down. It's exciting. Whenever I was really young, I had a sort of accidental love of Japanese animation. I didn't know what May was, or I guess I didn't really know the difference. All I knew is that I liked this different style more. And growing up in the early 90s, around the time the bubble burst, Japan's influence on media and technology was pretty significant. It was just getting to that part in this Toyotas everywhere, and every piece of electronic equipment in your house was made in Japan. I would try to read books, look at the pictures. When I was really young, I'd watch movies, and I always wonder what it would be like to go to Tokyo. I didn't know a lot about the world whenever I was young, but everybody knew that Tokyo was the biggest city in the world. It was a fascinating idea to me. Growing up in a tiny town, on a tiny farm, most of the people I knew were family. There weren't that many other people around. The idea of being crowded was a strange idea. When I was in 3rd or 4th grade, our teachers had this sort of multicultural awareness thing that they would put on. As a part of it, they had a woman come to our class, talk about Japan, and I don't remember too much about it, I guess. I don't remember anything about her, but I do remember the stories about Japan, and I do remember she gave us all 5 yen coins, I believe, with the hole in the center. I lost mine shortly after that, but we learned a little bit about origami and subways of Tokyo and how Japanese people had the internet on their phones, which at that age I didn't really understand what the internet was anyway. It was pretty fascinating, and I guess maybe that's where the kind of flirtation with visiting there came from, and I guess it stuck with me. So it's been 20 years, and finally graduated college, and I started thinking about what I really want to do and what may be best for me. Traveling around the world was something that appealed to me, and I know lots of people that went to Europe, London, or they go to Berlin. That never really appealed to me. All I ever really wanted to do was just go to Tokyo, and I figure that I'm nearing 30, and I've always wanted to do it, then now's the time. Growing up loving science fiction and cyberpunk movies and stuff like that, a lot of the locations are dirty streets of Hong Kong or back alleys of Tokyo, and the bright neon lights and the endless streets along sidewalks. I always thought about that as a kid. I always wondered about it. Played with the idea in my head, what would it be like to grow up there instead of here? Basically the exact opposite of where I'm from. And over the years, it's strange. I've developed almost a sense of nostalgia thinking about the late 80s, early 90s Japan and Tokyo, even though I've never really been there. Just seen it in media, thought about it, talked about it, read about it. It's a peculiar feeling to think about something in that way. The idea of actually arriving there is strange. I don't know what it will be like. I don't know what the chemical reaction in my brain will be like. It'll probably be overwhelming. Never been on a train before. My first day there, I have to take 3. I've only been on a plane one other time, and round trip flight to Tokyo, it's a pretty big deal. First time I get to the front gate and get on the plane, all told with layovers, is 19 hours. It's about a 6,500 mile journey. I suppose that's enough for now. This concludes the entry number 1, 12:50 a.m. Sunday, October 25th.